Let me ask you something. When you wake up on a regular Tuesday morning and you look in the mirror, are you frustrated with how you look? When you're going out, do you choose your outfit based on what looks good or what just hides your body? When your family or friends want to go to the beach, do you hesitate before you take your shirt off? If it was yes to any of those, here's what I know. The problem is not that you don't care enough. It's that you care too much, and it's exhausting you. You see that something needs to change. You know that something is wrong, but you just don't know how to fix it. And the fact that you're here now proves that. Here's the truth. Most guys in your situation will click off this video right now. But if you don't, if you stick around, I'm going to show you exactly how to silence that noise in your head. About your body, about how you look, about what people think. We're going to kill it. Not quiet it, not manage it, kill it. My name is Barrett McDonald, and I built Life-Proof Lifting specifically for guys like you. Guys who are busy. Guys with a family, a full-time job. Guys who want to feel good in their body without it taking over their lives. I'm here to tell you that you can absolutely look phenomenal and still go out for dinner. Still have drinks. Still live. I'm going to show you exactly how. I want to tell you a little bit about where I come from and how this system was formed. I'm 28 years old. I played D1 football and rugby at the Air Force Academy. For my entire athletic career, I had everything handed to me. Professional nutritionists, strength coaches, sports therapists, a full support system telling me exactly what to do, what to eat, how to train, and how to recover. I didn't have to think, I just had to execute. Then COVID hit, and I graduated. Overnight, all that was gone. No nutritionalist, no strength coach, no support system, just me trying to figure it out. At first, I didn't know what I was doing. I was replicating things that seemed right, but I wasn't seeing the results that I experienced in my past. I was confused. I was frustrated. So I went to work. I tested copious programs and systems. I learned what actually works versus what's just noise. Eventually, I figured out how to maintain an elite level body composition, currently 10.8% body fat at 225 pounds, while working a full-time job as an Air Force officer, getting sushi with my significant other, and probably having a little too many drinks on the weekends with friends. Just living a normal life. That's the difference, guys, between theory and practice. Theory is what elite coaches teach when they have unlimited resources, but practice is what actually works when you have a job, a life, real constraints. Life-proof lifting is built on practice, the system that actually works in the real world. Life-proof lifting is built on 4 pillars standing on a foundation of accountability. Let's walk through each of them. Pillar 1 is nutrition. You've probably heard the saying that abs are made in the kitchen, and I'm going to tell you something. Unfortunately, it's true. Nutrition is just as important, if not more so, than the actual training itself. That's why we're hitting it first. Nutrition is where most guys go wrong, not because they don't care, but because they've been sold a lie. The lie is you have to eat perfectly, track everything forever, and give up the things you love. That does not work, and that is not how this works. Here's what we actually do. We figure out what you're eating right now. Then we fix 2 or 3 things creating the most damage. We fix those first, and that's like 80% of the result. And here's something I want to be super clear about. This is not a boiled chicken and raw broccoli diet. I enjoy my food. I eat things I actually want to eat. Balanced meals that are delicious, hit my macros, and don't take forever to make. We're going to get you there too. Food should taste good and work for your goals. Those 2 things are not mutually exclusive. So I want to start by talking about breakfast because I fully believe that it's essential to starting your day off right, and a lot of guys skip it. Eating breakfast gives you a head start on your daily macros, jumpstarts your metabolism, keeps your energy up in the morning, and helps with portion control throughout the day. I make one thing every single week. It's an egg casserole with eggs, cottage cheese, turkey bacon, some carbs, some veggies, whatever spices I'm feeling. The macros are up on screen, but the bottom line is it takes 10 minutes to prep on a Sunday, and it lasts me Monday through Friday. Here's the thing. You don't have to do what I do. We're going to build you something that works for your schedule, your taste, and your life. The point is, eating breakfast has a whole slew of benefits, and it's one of the easiest ways to take a positive step forward. So we touched on portions a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper because it's something that a lot of guys, including myself, often struggle with. You don't overeat because you're greedy. It's because there's food in front of you. You hate waste, or you just never really learned what right looks like. So here's how we fix it. We start by weighing your food. Not forever, just long enough to learn what the portions actually look like. A chicken breast isn't some chicken, it's 150 grams. Rice isn't a scoop, it's 75 grams dry. Once you know what those look like, we can move into the hand method, fist-sized portion of carbs, palm-sized protein, or the plate method. But first, we measure, and that's how we get the honest data. Now let's talk about the liquid assassin. Liquid calories. You're a weekend warrior. You go to dinner. You have drinks. That's not a problem. That's a life worth living. Here's what happens. A Friday night is 6 beers, maybe a cocktail or 3. That's 600 to 1,000 calories that you're probably not counting. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be intentional about it. 3 beers instead of 6, or 6 beers but a lighter dinner that day, or 6 beers and maybe accept that this day is a maintenance day instead of a deficit. You choose, but you choose consciously. So let's get into macros a little bit. Now, you may have seen some of the recent studies that show how more protein doesn't necessarily mean more muscle growth. I'm not one to argue with science, but I do personally follow a routine. I do 1 gram of protein per pound of my ideal body weight. It may be contentious, but it works for me and it's what I do. If your goal is 200 pounds, you're hitting 200 grams of protein daily. That does a couple of things. It protects your muscle while you're losing the fat, and it helps you feel full throughout the day despite protein not being as calorically dense as the fat and carbs. I view this protein goal as a non-negotiable, and carbs and fats, we adjust those based on your activity and how you're feeling. We're going to recalibrate those every 4 weeks as your body changes. We're going to stay ahead of your metabolism instead of wondering why you stalled. So you're not going to have to weigh your food and count macros forever. But for the first 4 and 5 weeks, yeah, we're precise because precision builds a foundation. Once you know what 200 grams of protein looks like, once you know what proper portions feel like, once you're intentional about your weekend, that becomes your new normal. And every time we recalibrate your macros, we're going to go back and do a couple days on the scale to lock in what the new portions look like visually. Then you're off the scale again until the next shift. That's the nutrition, man. Simple, intentional, sustainable. Training is the part of this program that surprises people the most because I'm about to tell you that 3 hours of dedicated training a week, 1 hour, 3 times a week, is all you actually need to shred fat and build muscle. Not 6 days a week, not 2-hour sessions, not endless cardio. 3 hours total. Here's why that works. Each of those hours are programmed. Every rep has a purpose. Every session builds on the last one. There's no wasted movement. Now, how those are structured depends on you. Some guys want to do a full body split. Some guys want to do upper lower. Some maybe even want to do like a PPL. The point is the split doesn't really matter as much as staying consistent and always improving on what you're doing. Which brings me to another non-negotiable, progressive overload. Progressive overload is one of those fun fitness buzzwords, but here's what it actually means. Every week, you're doing slightly more than the week before. More reps, more weight, better form on the same weight, shorter rest periods, something that forces your body to adapt. This is what separates a program that works from a program that wastes your time. Your body adapts fast. If you do the same thing every week, nothing changes. But if you progressively ask more from yourself, even small increments, your body has to respond. That's how you build muscle and lose fat simultaneously. Outside of those 3 formal training sessions, you've got a daily tracker. Push-ups, sit-ups, air squats, and ideally 8,000 to 10,000 steps. Stick with me here. Now, we're not starting you at 100 of each, but that is the goal by the end of this program. It's what you should be aiming to be able to do. Where you start depends on you. If you're already in decent shape, we might start at 50. If you haven't trained in a few years, we might start you lower and build up to that. The point is, you're building towards that 100, and by the end of that 6 months, you're hitting those numbers daily, and that becomes your baseline. On your 3 formal training days, these daily movements are a warm-up. If you're doing 40 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, and 40 air squats, warm up with 20 of each of those for the session and count that towards your daily total. You hit the other 20 after work, after dinner, wherever you see fit. It takes 5 minutes and just a little bit of willpower. And I know 10,000 steps sounds like a lot, but you're probably already getting 4,000 to 5,000 just going about your day. Take 10 to 15 minutes a few times throughout the day. Walk. After lunch, after dinner, around the parking lot at work. It adds up fast and the payoff is real. Consistent daily steps lower blood pressure, helps with the digestion, and accelerates fat loss. On your recovery days, the days between your training sessions, you're still doing the daily tracker. Still hitting those numbers. Because consistent daily movement is one of the most underrated fat tools there is. It keeps your metabolism elevated without beating up your joints. Speaking of that, if your body has limitations, a bad knee, an elbow that acts up, a back that's been through it, Every exercise has a modification. I know about injuries. I have a broken back, a torn AC joint, a reconstructed ACL, but I've learned to manage those issues. Pain is a stop sign. Discomfort is just part of the process, and you'll learn the difference. We build around what issues you have, not going through them. 3 hours of dedicated training. Daily movements that build over time. Progressive overload that forces adaptation. That's the training pillar. Progressive, purposeful, efficient. Pillar 3 is recovery. So you've probably heard it before, but it's extremely important, so I'm going to tell you it again. If you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, you could eat perfectly and train perfectly and still struggle to lose weight. Poor sleep raises cortisol, which is your stress and primary fat storing hormone. It raises ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes you hungry. It tanks your testosterone. It destroys your recovery. And for a lot of guys I work with, the sleep problem is invisible because it's been their normal for so long. We address sleep directly. Here's the thing, it doesn't have to be complicated. We can start with your sleep environment. Temperature matters. Your body needs to be cool to fall asleep fast. The ideal range is 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't have AC in my apartment, so I bought a portable AC unit specifically for this. I run it about 2 to 3 hours before bed to get my room to 67 degrees. Once I'm asleep, it turns off and the temperature naturally rises throughout the night. But that's fine because the critical window of when you're falling asleep is covered. Is an AC unit mandatory? No, but it's a small investment and it adds maybe a few bucks to your energy bill, but it drastically improves your sleep quality. But we'll work with what you got. Maybe your home has AC. Maybe it's just opening a window. Maybe it's running a fan or a portable AC unit like I have. Ideally, we're hitting that 60 to 67 degree range, but we'll figure out what works best for you. I also use something like a weighted sleep mask. Does it look silly? Sure, but it works for me. And you might prefer something different, but the point is your sleep environment needs to be dark, cool, and conducive to actually sleeping. Another important part of sleep is your wind down routine. 1 hour before bed, no screens. That's it. Your brain needs time to decompress. What do you do with that hour? Read, have a warm cup of tea or water, stretch a little bit. Something calm to keep you in the sleeping mindset. We're going to find out what works for you. And since I know who I'm talking to, maybe you're someone who likes to have a drink in the evening, a beer, a cocktail. Here's a rule. It needs to be at least 2 hours before bed. Alcohol disrupts sleep quality even if you don't feel it. And when you drink, you need to hydrate around it. Water before, water during, and water after. So I'm going to quick hitter on supplementation. I know supplements are a big part of some people's sleep routine. I've personally tried melatonin and magnesium, but they tend to leave me a little groggy, and other guys swear by them. Point is, it's not really mandatory or part of this system, but if you're interested, we will experiment and figure out what works for your body. Another awesome tool to help with recovery is strategic napping. If your schedule allows and you're someone who can nap, a 20-minute nap is a legitimate recovery tool, and it's not a sign of weakness or someone who doesn't take life seriously. It's a legitimate tool. The key is keeping it between 20 to 30 minutes or a full 90 minutes. Anything in between that, and you're waking up in the middle of a deep sleep cycle, which leaves you feeling a lot worse than when you laid down. Keep it before 3 p.m. so it doesn't interfere with your nighttime sleep, and we'll figure out if it's right for you. Sleep isn't a luxury, guys. It's infrastructure. Everything else in the program, the nutrition, the training, it all works better when you're actually recovering. That's the recovery pillar. Personalized, practical, restorative. Pillar 4 is tracking. And I know it's not sexy. I know it's not fun if you aren't used to it. But here's the truth. You cannot improve what you do not measure. And you can't understand why things are working and why they're not if you don't have the data to back it up. Tracking does two things. First, it shows you the connections between your actions and your results. You had 3 drinks on Friday and woke up groggy on Saturday. You ate breakfast and had way more energy at 2 p.m. You slept 8 hours and crushed your workout. These connections aren't obvious until you see them in the data. That's when it clicks. Second, it gives you the ability to do all of this mentally, eventually. Your nutrition, your sleep, your daily movements, it all becomes second nature, but you can't skip to second nature. You have to build it first, and tracking is how you build it. With this program, everything lives in one place, one spreadsheet, one system. You're not jumping between 5 different apps wondering where your data is. For nutrition, you're logging your food in an app like MyFitnessPal to get accurate macros for what you're eating. Guesswork just doesn't work with nutrition. Then you're putting that information into the tracker that I provide you. What you ate, your macros for the day, water intake, alcoholic drinks. It takes a few minutes. Training. Every time you train, you log it. How long was it? How it felt? What were your energy levels? What were the weights that you used and how many reps? That's how we track progressive overload. Everything is going to be in that one place. Sleep. Bedtime, wake time, total hours slept. How many times did you wake up? Did you nap? Did you take any supplements? How was your morning energy? Over time, you start seeing patterns. That drink before bed mattered. The sleep mask helped. You start connecting the dots. Daily circuit, your push-ups, sit-ups, air squats. Total reps, steps. Did you get your walk done? How long? Do you have any notes on how you felt? And then for progress, I don't want you stepping on the scale every day. That's not good for mental health, and it's not going to help you see meaningful change on a day-to-day. So we do weekly weigh-ins. Just the number, once a week. Every 4 weeks when we adjust your macros, you're going to get a body composition scan. That's a DEXA, which is a gold standard, but it's expensive. And most local nutrition shops in your area offer in-body scans for free. That gives you your baseline of how much fat, how much lean muscle, and we use that to recalculate your macros and see what's actually changing. Progress pictures happen at those same 4-week intervals, not weekly, because you need to see real change and not obsess over minor daily fluctuations. Okay, so all of this data is great for your personal use, but it's also essential when we go over everything together to see what's working, what's not, and why. I know it's going to feel like a grind for a few weeks, but the more you do it, the better you become at it, and eventually it becomes second nature. That's the tracking pillar: transparent, organized, and actionable. These 4 pillars are powerful. They work, but they will not stay standing without a strong foundation beneath them. That foundation is accountability. Here's what accountability looks like in this program. Week 1, besides the initial discussion and program building call, we start with a formal check-in at the end of week 1. Not to judge you, just to baseline everything. How is the nutrition sitting for you? Are the workouts clicking? Is the sleep routine working? Are there any adjustments that we need to make before you build any bad habits for the long run? We figure it out together while it's all fresh. Every 4 weeks, we have a macro adjustment period. This is when we're doing a formal 1-hour check-in. We review your data. We look at what's working and what's not and why. We recalibrate your macros and adjust the approach. We're going to stay ahead of plateaus instead of wondering why progress stopped. Between those formal check-ins, we talk as much as you need. I'm not in the wind. I'm here for you. Text me. Call me. You hit a rough week. You're struggling with nutrition. Something hurts. Maybe you need to adjust a movement. Reach out and together we'll figure it out. It's not a weakness. That's just what accountability looks like. But here's the thing. I will be your accountability partner, but I cannot be your only support system. You need to build one locally too. Your partner, your kids, your friends, your family, your coworkers. These are the people who see you every day. They notice when you're crushing it. They are the ones that can push you when you're thinking about skipping a walk or a training day. They celebrate with you when you hit milestones. Bring them into this. Let them know what you're doing and why. Because when the people closest to you understand that this isn't vanity, it's about being present, being healthy, being the best version of yourself for, yes, yourself, but also for them. It changes everything. So here's what you're actually getting. You're getting me, a coach who's been there where you are, who understands your life, who's available when you need me. You're getting a system, 4 pillars designed to work in the real world. And you're building a network around you that can help support and keep you locked into the system. That's the foundation. It holds everything up. Let me recap what we just covered. Nutrition, eating without obsession. Training, 3 hours a week, progressive forever. Recovery, sleep and how we stay injury-free. Tracking, the essential data. And accountability, the foundation that keeps it all standing. That's the system, guys. Now here's something that I want you to hear. You are not far off from where you want to be. You're closer than you think. This program isn't designed to go on top of your life. It's designed to fit in your life. Your weekends stay yours. Your social life stays intact. Your job, your family, your responsibilities, none of that changes. This adds structure to what you're already doing, so that structure actually produces results. And here's the good news. You already have discipline. You show up to work every day. You show up for your family. You show up when it counts. We're not building discipline from scratch. We're just channeling it into something that has been nagging at you for years. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This is simple, but it's not easy. This is going to take real work, but it's not going to take your life. When you're on the other side, when you look in the mirror and think, damn, I look good. When you say yes to the beach without hesitation, when that background noise finally stops, you're going to understand why every single week was worth it. That's what we're building here. You've made it this far. Let's take the next step. Hit the link below and book a free 30-minute strategy call with me. No pitch, no pressure, just a real conversation about where you are, where you want to be, and whether this 6-month program is the right fit for you. If it's not the right fit, I'll tell you. This call takes 30 minutes. The decision you make could change the next 6 months and a lot of Tuesday mornings after that. I'll see you on the other side.